want it. Gotta make to myself a promise. I won't quit, keep going till I got it. I won't give up till I'm on top.
Yo, no, I ain't the type to give up. If I do something, man, I do it till I get what I want. I turn a business out of nothing into something I love. I got a poker face, but honestly, I'm not one to bluff. I flip a switch, never miss, man, I always stay up. Don't let them see you, bitch, always have a plan to stay tough. This life ahead of you ain't easy, it was built to be rough. But that's what makes a personality, is tragedy, bruh. So keep your head on your shoulders. Now we ain't out here moving rocks, we out here moving boulders. Now we ain't getting posterized, we out here making posters, and we ain't got nothing to hide.
What up? What up? What up? TGIFF. The second F for emphasis. We made it. It's Friday. It's day 2 of March Madness. And it's been madness. Been some madness out there. Excited about tonight's card. Just one hockey game. Killed the NHL yesterday. Killed it. Just one hockey game today. That's what happens, I guess. That's the way it goes. Those are the ebbs and flows. Big games out there. Big winners for us last night across the board. That Colorado Avalanche spot was just a hammer. Hammer. And it came through. Did not get our Rangers and Leafs play. That sucked. But man, the under. Florida Panthers Thursdays unders. They're rolling. That's about the only under that cashed early in the window, but it was still a fun night. We had a great live stream. That was a lot of fun. Hopefully you guys got to check it out with us. Lots of winners. That's what we do when we get live and we're focused solely on trying to get that money. Tonight we're going to talk about that Columbus-Pittsburgh game. I have a look to the side and a lean on a total. We'll see. We'll see how that gets to the bank. Then I've got 4 college basketball games here. We're going to talk about New Mexico Marquette, Akron and Arizona, Oklahoma and UConn, and Xavier and Illinois, the Fighting Illini. And 3, I added a third NBA game. So we've got Houston, Miami. We'll talk Memphis and the Clip Show. We're going to add in Denver and the Blazers. I'm watching North Carolina try to come back here, see if they can't figure it out. What a bad first half. 18 points they get dunked by on that Ole Miss team. They're trying. They got an 12-point edge in the second half, but they're down 6 points here. This gap is widening. So we'll see. Still have 2 minutes and 50 seconds. Redbeard says the NC game is madness. Yeah. I could use UNC getting it done. So we'll see. We'll see what that's going to look like here on the card. Last night's show was pretty good. We had a pretty good show last night. Let me see where we at. Where are we at here? Where are we at? Yes. Milwaukee crushed them Lakers. They needed that game. We were all over that. -7. Closed at 8. So we did get a little bit of a better number there. And they smoked 118-89. Margin of victory for us on some of these blowout wins has been ridiculous. I told you guys the wrong team was favored in that Bulls game. Bulls came through 128-116. We had 7.5 points. We didn't need them. They won by 12. Easy, comfortable win. Sadly, Mizzou gets busted up by Drake. I know a few of you guys were on that side of things, so congratulations for those Drake backers. They got plus money. Didn't need to take the points out there. They beat them by 10. And UCLA thumped Utah State as projected, as expected. -5.5. They beat them by 25 points. Good mention, Colorado was an easy winner. The under 6 in that Panthers game, easy winner. We did not cash on our Rangers and under. And that's why I'm glad I went with the parlay. Going to lose. I'd rather lose a +263 than a -130. We tried to get some cash out of that thing. We couldn't get there. And then the under in that Montreal and Islanders game was a mess. It was a 4-3 Islanders win. Probably should have just taken the Islanders. In hindsight, they're still alive. They don't realize that their season is over. But all in all, it was a good day and then a good night. We had a big night on the live stream there. So lots of fun. Talked about some trends. Talked about some angles last night. Hopefully you guys enjoyed some of that conversation that we had. And we're getting ready. Somebody put a free play in my account. Okay. Big Saturday show. Saturday, UFC. We're going to pop off about 12:30 p.m. But the playbook's out there. I refreshed it, sent it out there through the post tab. So check it out. All members have access to it. And lots of plays, lots of plus money plays already. I think there's over 20 of them listed out there. In fact, I can give you guys there's definitely over 20 of them in there. UFC London is the tab you're going to want to take a look at. And lots of plus money spots out there. We've got some finish props. We've got some plus 1800s, 1100s, 3300s, 275s, 150s, 250s, 400s, 320s, 175s. Lots of good money to be made with this Saturday UFC London card. So it's going to be a lot of fun. And of course, we'll have college basketball prepping for that. We'll get ready for the NHL. We'll get ready for NBA. We're going to have it all going on tomorrow. And of course, our guy Kevin Carrier will take it to the Octagon out there at Foxwood. So we'll be rooting for our guy. Minus 300. Pretty pricey favorite. Not as bad as it was when he was sitting out at Seneca Niagara at minus 900. But we figure it's probably because he's on the road as opposed to being in his home turf. So that's kind of an overview. That's what we've got going on. Of course, the March Madness bracket, we'll be looking at that real time tomorrow. We'll bring that up on screen and share that with everybody. UNC could find a way. Come on. Come on. Come on, UNC. And the ACC. That's why they got to go on the shit list. It's a gentle reminder. The ACC stinks. However, Duke did blast them boys earlier today. So the Duke Blue Devils advance. Interesting note. Only 2 teams with monster spreads have covered the first half. And this will come into play tonight, specifically when we look at that Arizona game. Bottom line, it's the defense of Houston that was out there confidently winning that first half yesterday. And Duke today, with that offense and defense combination, blasted them boys to cover that first half. No other large favorites have covered in the first half yet this tournament. So keep that in mind. Those are the trends that we want to look for. And we might as well get to work here, boys and girls. You know the deal. It's thumbs up time. We need your guys' help. Support the channel. We love it. We're viewer supported. We love the donos. We love the membership gifting. The most important thing you can do for us is smack that thumbs up button. Close the comments. Hit the thumbs up. Pop it back open. I showed you guys live last night. It only takes a second. Let's take the time to do that right now. All right. You know what's up. Pen and paper out. The best chat in the business assembled. They're ready to go. They've been looking at the card all day. Probably live betting all day as well with March Madness in play. And it's time. It's time to get those plays written down all night. We got a full night in front of us here. 3 points. Come on, UNC. Make sure you guys do put those best bets in the chat. Let's go. We want to talk about what you guys are on. Jover, he's popping us off. Oh, my neck. He's popping us off with an over in this Blue Jackets and Penguins game. So Jover and I see differently in this Blue Jackets Penguins game, at least as far as the total is concerned. Now, that's why I chuckled when I commented that I'd have a lean to the side because I do look at this under in this game. But the unders, late night unders yesterday cashed. The overs in the early part of that card were on fire. So we'll see. We'll see what happens. We'll see how it all shakes out. Shout out to Gerald Jones. He's rolling 25-14 is our man. He's been on a heater this month. A heater. 10x, 11x is bankroll to start the month off here. And he likes Akron in the first half plus 7.5. Just thanked Arkansas last night. Yeah. Let's go. That's a big W. Man, some crazy numbers. Some crazy finishes. Minute 8. Hopefully we see some crazy finish in this UNC game. Joe W's here. Redbeard says the NC game is madness, and he likes Oklahoma as his best bet. Bobby Max up in this piece. Let's go, Robert McCormick. It's good to see you. Trisha M's ready. She's ready to go. She says, can we wrap it up by 6:50 so everyone can witness history with these Gators? Trisha M, heavy money line play on these Florida Gators. It's going to be a fun game. That's a big spread. It's a big spread. Ergo, why I mentioned Big spreads don't cover in the first half unless they've got a defense. And I don't know about that. Florida doesn't seem to care about defense. They want to just go splash all over you. So we'll see what happens with that one, but that'll be fun to watch. That's a 6:50 start. So tick, tick, tick. Is that time moving right along? There, Ramon Scott's in the house says, what happens on Sunday when number 1 pace team Alabama takes on number 359 pace team St. Mary's? St. Mary's had a big comeback today. Big comeback today. They were down pretty good in that first half. They won by 3. They did not cover the 4. They did not cover the 4. I feel like I found a little trick of the trade. You see people posting on Twitter a number that's not available. It's a loser. If they're just making their own lineup, it's a loser. Shout out to Razor Sharp Picks, a.k.a. Mr. Cash It, a.k.a. take that guy to a strip club. He's got 1,000 singles. And he says, shout out to the cornhole champion, me. Cornhole's paid for his Airbnb. Hey, nobody works the bag better than Razor Sharp Picks. He gets his hand on that bag and it's magic. Redbeard says, you can't throw bags. 5-0 yesterday, 6-2 today, Redbeard. And if you didn't know and you watch the Razor Sharp Picks YouTube channel, when he posts his tweet out there and he's got that little cover picture giving you the breakdown of the tracks that he's talking about for the day, that is him. Look at that hand. He's got a beer in one hand. He's got a stack of cash in the other. That was a picture from his victorious run at Cornhole last year. So I believe it. I believe it. Jerry Davis is lucky number 13. Let's go. Big stuff. Says, real talk, my most difficult round 1 decision was the UNC game. I had Ole Miss and modified to UNC because they seem to keep delivering lately. Not right now. Not right now. 5 points, 50 seconds. Eesh. Shout out to Nicholas Handy's here. And Jerry Davis says, St. Mary's going to get effed up. I think so too. They were fortunate to advance today. Lots of big things happening in that second half. But we know defense is what wins championships, and we know Bama doesn't really care about that. Bama wants to be the first. Bama and Florida want to be the first team to get to 100. Seems to be the breakdown. Their team total overs. How can you argue with that? How can you argue with that? Okay. I'm ready. You guys ready? You guys ready to do this? Let's get to work. We got a small menu of plays to attack here today. We got a lot of work to do to get ready for tomorrow's live stream. And it starts early. So get ready, get set. We're going to go. I'll tell you, the boys are fired up. I know Jeff and Jim have been cashing on Cage Warriors like maniacs today. Plus 450 bombs. They're getting ready. They're going to save a little bit of it for tomorrow. We don't want to just use it all up today. Let's get these big winners in play tomorrow. Game number 1 on the agenda tonight, the sole hockey game on the card. And it's amazing. I was talking with our guy Gonzo earlier today. I can't imagine that they go to Merzlikins again, but it was unconfirmed. Tarasov, I believe, was the guy they were projecting. And yet they have confirmed they're going to go back to Merzlikins. So the situation is, they played a tight game against the defending Stanley Cup champion Florida Panthers. They lose in overtime. Defensive battle, overtime game, second leg of a back-to-back, and they had to travel. And they're going back to their goalie again. I get it. I mean, Tarasov's sick. That's what we look for. We want to see the illness. Because now, you got Merzlikins, you're going to have to play defense. You're in that second leg of the back-to-back. You know your offense is going to be a little taxed, a little gassed. And you can't let this guy stand out there and hang him out to dry. He had a great game, 27 of 28 saves yesterday. He's having a decent season. 2.99 goals against average, 89.7% save percentage. Probably more backup numbers than starter numbers, but got to hand it to him. It's a young team. What do we look for with these young teams like last night? These young teams, San Jose Sharks, never had a chance against them Carolina Hurricanes. Chicago Blackhawks, never had a chance against them LA Kings. Why? because they're tired. They're young. They haven't gone past game 60 in their junior hockey careers, maybe 65. And the same thing with the Buffalo Sabres. So we want to start profiling those teams that have youth. Now, the other side of things, you could say the Ducks, right? The Ducks beat the Predators. Well, Predators stink. We know that. And we know that the Ducks are a road team. So we talked a little bit about that yesterday when they're on the road at a nice big plus money price tag against a bad team like the Nashville Predators that just don't quite have the chemistry right in the locker room. Yeah, you want to fire on those teams. Back to the other side of this one with the Penguins. They're going to go to Nedeljkovic. Tristan Jarry was the guy. He's been going pretty well. 4-1 in his last 5. They're going to give him a rest. And they're going to go to Nedeljkovic. Look, bottom line, right? The Penguins, small favorites. This line dropped early. Surprisingly, once they confirmed Merzlikins was going back in, the line went back up and we started seeing this thing moving towards the Pittsburgh Penguins. I think it opened around minus 120, dropped towards around minus 111 or so, and it popped back up to minus 118. So late money coming in. And look, the Blue Jackets have been shut out 3 times over the last 5 games. Guess what their record is? 0-4-1. 0-4-1. Can't be involved in that. Here's what we have ourselves as another situation. When you have 2 days of rest, your opponent's on the second leg of a back-to-back, and you're the favorite, you win. And you win a lot. You win 130 times. You lose 63 of them. That's a little 2-1 advantage. 67.4% to be exact. Now they're tight. The puck line would show you it's 78 and 115. But I think this is one of those don't get too cute and muck it up specials here. Take our opportunity where we can with this Pittsburgh Penguins team. You know, if you want to look at the Blue Jackets, how about this? When the Blue Jackets take that travel situation, now I mentioned this yesterday, home, overtime, unrested, on the road now. This particular situation with the Columbus Blue Jackets, the Blue Jackets are 0-4. It's not just that they're 0-4. They're getting smoked. They're losing by over 4 goals a game in those spots. This has a little bit of a feeling like that Colorado Avalanche spot yesterday, where we had a small sample when it happens. But when it happens, it opens up, and look what we did yesterday with the Colorado Avalanche. I'm taking the Pittsburgh Penguins in this one. I'll tell you, in that spot, by the way, it's 1-3 to the under for the Blue Jackets. Additionally, another little metric out there shows us a 6-18 to the under on this Blue Jacket side. So, you know, look, Columbus Blue Jackets, team total under, not the worst of looks out there either. Threes are plus 104s. 3. I don't see 3s very often. Bet Rivers has a 3. It's actually moved up to minus 114 now. Bet MGM is sitting at minus 115. And then you got plus money on DK with the under 2.5 at plus 130. I just don't see how they're going to put the puck in the net. They haven't done it thus far. They're real trouble in this game. I do expect this to be like a 4-1 type of finish here. The team total for the Penguins over 3.5 is minus 102. Think about that. When the Blue Jackets are on the road after a home game and they have no rest, this situation, they're losing by 4. 4. On average, they're losing by 4. Final scores that we've seen in these situations, shutout 4-0 against the Bruins, the shitbag Bruins. They lost 4-1 to the Hurricanes. They lost 5-1 to the Canadiens, and they lost 7-2 to the Capitals. Now, the Capitals, we know, beast mode. That was the only one that went over because the Capitals put up a 7-pack. My point around all that is if you can get that over 3.5, and we're seeing that they lose by 4, it's 4-0, 5-1. We see blueprint for those games as well, and you can catch plus money on their team total overs. Definitely a live betting spot, definitely a live opportunity if the Pittsburgh Penguins do go down, but I'm going to have to go head-to-head with Jover a little bit there on the lean, but I am officially taking the Pittsburgh Penguins. That's going to be our good money play of the day. Let's go. Shout out to Billy Ho. This is ready. Hockey game. Give a parlay winner with Memphis basketball first quarter over. Peter Grassi is here. Says on the road, but listening. Thanks. Appreciate you. Thanks, man. Tricia says, I like the under 91.5 in the Gators. I used this earlier with Bama under 95. Doesn't make sense for blowout in round 1. Win or go home. No spread. Money line play for Tricia M. And Nasty Nate says the Celtics are going to smash tonight. No player props, no second quarter. He's a busy guy. But he does want to drop in and say the Celtics are going to smash. Trisha M says, bummer on UNC, but at least the SEC gets a win on their way to be the most wins in the tournament. Most teams in the tournament as well. Shout out to Stop Geo Engineering in the house. Let's get to some college hoops. Let's get there. Let's make this money. New Mexico and Marquette, if you guys are new here, we don't spend a lot of time talking about the cash flow splits in the NHL because, frankly, I don't care. But that being said, we want to see a little bit about what's happening here. Now, I kind of believe March Madness is a different animal. Well, obviously, it's a different animal. What I mean by that is, I don't know about some of these cash flow splits. I don't know that the moves. I think you want to reverse some of these moves because the public is coming in and just splashing all over some of these sides here. And sometimes I think if it got to the move, you want to be on the other side of the move. But I don't know. We'll see how that works out tonight. That's just me thinking a lot of some information that I've noticed. New Mexico comes in here against this Marquette squad at 725. Minus 3.5 has moved to -4. 52% of the bets and 58% of the cash have come in on Marquette. What do we know about teams like Marquette? They're college basketball programs. In New Mexico, at home, tremendous home court advantage. On the road, 62% of the bets, 64% of the cash have hit the over. It's gone from 151.5 to 154. I get that. I think we see some pace. I do think that we see, overall, when you look at these two squads and kind of the way that they go about their business, I can see that. I can't see a situation where New Mexico wins, though. First of all, New Mexico on the road finds themselves at 6-7 against the spread. That's in conference. But what conference do they play in? The Mountain West. What do we know about the Mountain West? They stink. If you fade the Mountain West, you're 25-8 in the last 33 situations. Just fade the Mountain West. You don't need to know anything else. Just fade them. Now, they did lose to Boise State, 72-69. They were a favorite. They got taken down. They had a nice little run in their conference, but look, you beat up Nevada, UNLV, San Jose State. Okay. Boise, you got some real competition. You crumble. And Marquette, talk about battle-tested. The likes of Georgetown, UConn, St. John's, Xavier, tournament teams. The 10 seed or higher from the Mountain West in the fade, you find yourself 11-1. All signs point to fade New Mexico. Not just that, but look, I mentioned the competition, right? If you look at strength of schedules, New Mexico ain't it. And what Marquette's shown is that they can be a balanced team. You know what's impressive about that Xavier win? It was 89-87 in tournament play. But they were trying to exact revenge from that Xavier team that beat them previously. And so they did. And they're balanced. Offensively and defensively, they can put the pressure out there. They average 76.9 points a game. One of the more scoring-heavy teams in the tournament. Cam Jones, he can put up a 20-pack. He's averaging about 20 points a game. He shoots almost 50% from the field. So to get ball in that dude's hand, especially when the game counts, it's going to be something to see. And then on the other side of things here, look, New Mexico does have an 81.2 point a game average. That's 28th nationally in college hoops. But their defense, man, that's going to be the challenge right now. They stink 70.8 points allowed per game. And there's 3-point shooting percentage. It's going to be a tough game. It's going to be hard for these boys to keep up. I think this is a great opportunity for us, not just fading the Mountain West, but just trying to take this nice little number that we've got here on this Marquette side of things. We're 3s, 3.5s to 4s, now seeing some 4.5s out there. I see a scenario where Marquette beats these guys up by 8 to 10 points. Maybe more. It could get sloppy. It could get real sloppy here, I think, with the way that this New Mexico team potentially plays. This ain't Rick Pitino. It's Richard Pitino. And I'm just not buying it. I'm not buying it. I think Marquette, the Big East, we just know that the challenges, that the competition, the schedule, all things considered, Marquette's a team that's ready for the tournament. New Mexico's fortunate to be there. They've earned their share. Sure, they've got their shot. But I'm fading the Mountain West. I get it. Number 10, we talked about those 10 seeds or higher. We want 11-1 on the fade. We got the line moving in the right direction on top of it. Good enough for me. Let's take it. Let's keep going. I'm going to have to block Trisha M with this fucking spam. Jerry Davis, New Mexico and under 4 for him. So we're going to be head-to-head, Jerry. Irish King says, dog college day. And David Wallace says, what's up, everybody? Let's go. Yeah, fade in the Mountain West. Play on Marquette. Battle-tested, harder schedule. Better shooting team. Stronger defense. All the metrics, all the things you want to look for. Give me some opportunity. Here's one that's going to be a little interesting battle. Now, I mentioned this. Big spreads, not getting covered specifically in the first half. We are seeing if they're less than a 15-point favorite that they are covering games. They are getting that dub, at least at a 58% rate. Not enough for me to get overly excited about. But we do have reverse line movement. This Akron line feels like it came in a little heavy. 15.5 has dropped to 14.5, so now we're seeing 14s. We do have correlated movement. 69% of the bets and 74% of the cash have hit in on the zip. The total's gone ultimately nowhere. And that's problematic with a 67% of the bets and 69% of the cash on the over. I did get a sharp, respected betting report today. Akron in the under was the, under in Akron is how I should say that. Kind of rang true here, potentially being a lower scoring game. Look, talk about strength of schedule. Akron busted up on chumps like Buffalo, Bowling Green, Toledo, right? But you only play who's in front of you, I guess, to some degree. And they handled all of them teams, and they've been on themselves a nice little winning streak. Shit's going to get real tonight, for sure. Arizona comes into this thing, and, look at Arizona. Battle Houston, take the big L, 72-64, but it was a tight game. It's Houston. Houston's got a lot of people favored to win the tournament. They handled Texas Tech. They handled Kansas. They handled Arizona State. Arizona can put points up. The problem that Arizona, I think, has in this game is the defense. How are they going to match up here against a squad? You look at Akron. I mentioned this during the season. If you look at Akron and look at their schedule and some of the teams that they played, what was Akron doing? What were they getting ready for? Well, maybe, just maybe, they were thinking about bigger pictures out there. They had some out-of-conference plays. I mean, they played Princeton, but look, Princeton, tight squad. They were 6-point dogs against Princeton, out-of-conference in the Ivy. Higher scoring conference, they kept it to an under. They played Yale, 2 and under. These Ivy League schools that go over, Akron found that they have some defense. They played Milwaukee. They got busted up. Okay. Whoops. North Kentucky, they smoked them. When they went out of conference, they were playing defense. They were ratcheting up. And I think that's the schematic that's going to be too much for this Arizona team to handle early. I'm going to get involved in the fact that we're not seeing these bigger numbers cover the first half. It's taking them the benefit of the full game to be able to stretch this thing out and come up with a win. And that's kind of how I envision this game gets played out here today. Nothing over the top. Just give me a little Akron zips here in that first half. 7.5 points is a lot of points to have to see Arizona come out there and cover. And what I'm hoping for is that we do see this game with that sharp, respected action coming in on the under, that we see that they haven't seen the likes of Akron's style of defense, and that it does give some fits for Arizona in that first half. They're going to get blown out. It's going to happen right off the gate. And if they don't get blown out and they get this first half, I don't think we have a live dog. I'm not fucking psycho. But I think that's a lot of points. I think 14.5 seems like it's a the numbers come down from what, again, the perception of the general public was a top-heavy team out there. And, I like who Arizona plays. Same kind of be said, of course, with this Marquette spot like Arizona. Yeah, they got a better conference that they're playing against, for sure. But I think Akron can hang in there. Hang in there is the way that I would describe this team here. I don't think they're the Cinderella that, that we're looking at here. But they don't perform straight up as a dog. They're 1-5. But look, as a favorite, Arizona's only 14-11 against the spread. And they're not getting 14.5s. The average number we're seeing, they got 17.5 against Arizona State, but 4.5, 3.5, a half, 5.5s. Too many points. First half, we'll break this one in half here because I do expect Arizona to eventually just outwork this team, start getting those rebound advantages in the second half and have enough for them to take over with this one. So Akron, first half, plus 7.5. That's how we're going to pop off. Shout out to Smoke and Mirrors. There's my guy Keith in the house. Jerry Davis likes Akron first half and full game. I leaned in the full game for sure. But I'm going to take that first half. I feel pretty darn good about that. Let's go. Let's get into some trends, huh? Let's talk some trendage here. A little March Madness trendage. Well, before we even get into the trendage, what do we know? The 5 to 6.5 point favorites. We talked about this last night, and March Madness have been dominant. Not a lot of them on the card today. Only one, and it's this game. This line opened at minus 4.5. It's moved to 6. A battle of 8 and 9s. You know, I saw an impressive number today. The 9 seeds, let me see if I can find it. The 9 seeds have been kicking ass and taking names. Against the spread particularly. Let me see if I found that. Let me see. Oh, I meant to mention this with the Akron side of things too, by the way. As far as that under and seeing this thing roll to the under, this is the defense that I spoke to about Akron. 13-0 to the under when they're playing a team that averages better than 45% shooting after a game that was decided by 3 points or less. And they're going under by 10 points. They can hang in there for that first half, for sure. For sure they can hang in there. What do we got? 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 Can't find it. That's too bad. I'll look for it and see if I find it, I'll mention it tomorrow. I wish I'd wrote it down. Why didn't I? Arizona, by the way, 3-14 in their last 17 tournament games against the spread. Way too many points for a team like that. Did I mention I like Akron Zips? We're involved. Zip, let's roll. Oklahoma, UConn. And we got this line, as I mentioned, on the move. 54% of the bets and 64% of the cash taking Oklahoma. Thanks to Spoon Bets. You're on average of the 5 people you spend the most time with. Make sure you pick wisely. Privileged to listen to Mikey Cap. I appreciate that, Spoon. I hope you're saying that you spend some time with me and that you're benefiting from it. I hope. Win together, lose together, but we're doing it together. We're learning as we roll, man. We've been rolling this show for just over 2 years now, right? 2.5 years. This is our second March Madness going on. Anyhow, the total's gone from 147.5 to 146.5. Also, the under made the sharp, respected action report today. The under in this UConn-Oklahoma game. I'm not buying Oklahoma. I don't care. Look, they're taken down by Kentucky. They beat up Georgia, rather, 81-75. I mean, look, Texas, they did handle Texas, but we know Texas are frauds. Texas is on fraud alert. Kentucky, 85-84 as a dog. They have outperformed their position. They've been a dog, and they've been winning. At some point, that bubble's got to burst. And who they're going to do it against? You're going to do it against a team in UConn that does not lose with rest in March. Now, part of that's because they won back-to-back national championships. And I don't expect them to go out there and win this national championship, but they have the defensive edge. Offensively, they score 77.4 points a game. Now, I do believe of the programs, Oklahoma's a pretty deep team. They can match the offense out there. They go 78.9 points a game. But I think it's going to be tough for them to compete with a Big East-style defense out there. And, if you want to look at it here, I talked about the 5 and the 6.5s, right? We talked about that yesterday. That number was a monster. Connecticut's last 12 games in March, they're 12-0. It's the domination. Now, again, I know some of this goes back to the previous 2 seasons of championships, but they're busting teams up. They are a playoff caliber team, 21.7 points a game. When they have rest in March, they're 19-0 against the spread, busting teams up by 20.7 points a game. And that's dangerous. What that tells me is they can coach. They can whip up a game plan that you can't tape for, and you're going to go out there and run into the buzzsaw. Dogs of fewer than 7.5 points that have covered 6 or more games. When I mentioned the bubble's due to burst, it burst in March. Dog of less than 7.5 points covering 6 or more games are 0-6-1 in the month of March. And those dogs are losing by 10 points a game against the spread. Welcome to the show, Oklahoma. UConn's going to bust them boys up. I think it's a good opportunity here. 5.5 point, right in the sweet spot of the number that we want to capitalize on. 5 to 6.5ers do not lose in March Madness here. UConn's ready to go. I don't expect them to get past the Elite Eight, but I think they're going to handle this Sooners team. Are you kidding me? Those teams are due to get fucked, and that's what it comes down to. Phil the Kill says, I've correlated with a few off days Mikey has to wearing peach-colored shirts. Just saying. Peach-colored shirts. Do I have peach color? Am I wearing a peach-colored shirt? No, I'm wearing a blue shirt, dude. Appreciate you, Spoon Bets. I figured that. We love you. Appreciate you, man. Thank you for being here, rocking with us, Spoon. And thank you for the kind words. Positive feedback is always nice to hear. You know? We always love hearing that. And we got to win. You're right, though. You are who you spend your time with. And you got to choose your friends carefully, right? Guilty by association. Robert Franklin likes Akron plus 14.5. Okay. I'm hoping they hang on there in that first half. Just give me I want to get out of that thing. I don't know what's going to happen in the second half of that thing. Now, I like some Grand Canyon in the first half. Grand Canyon's a pretty solid first half team. They got busted up. Straight up embarrassed. Actually, I got 8.5. I'm sorry. 8.5 is available at FanDuel for the first half of that Akron game. I'd still be comfortable with 7.5. It's minus 120 in that Akron first half, plus 8.5 over at FanDuel. I got the 6. I'm laying 6 here with UConn at Bet Rivers. I'm laying a 6. I got a little inside info for you guys on this Xavier Illinois game. The number 11 seed Xavier, 22-11, coming in here against the number 6 Illinois, the Fighting Illini. I don't know if it's inside info, but it's definitely some info that should be factored in when you're capping. And we got movement. This thing's moved from minus 2.5 to 4. 70% of the bets are on Xavier, but only 63% of the cash. It does create a little differential towards the Illinois side of things. This total's gone up 6 points, man. 6 points is too much. Too much. 162s now. 71% of the bets and 75% of the cash coming in on the over. Where do you want to start with this game? Well, you guys have heard me talk about it. I think Xavier, dark horse to make a run. They whooped Texas. They were never in doubt against that Texas squad. Now, we were on them. We expected Texas to do what Texas does, and that's blow it when it counts. Battle-tested program. They play the likes of Creighton, Butler, Providence, and this Marquette spot that I want to specifically talk about. Why? Because of where this game is being played. They will be playing in Milwaukee, Algonquin, for the good land. And why is that important? Because guess who's already played at this barn and won as a dog? Xavier. Xavier's done that. So when you go to a neutral court and you have the disadvantage because you have those off sight lines. That's why we see a lot of those first halves go under early, because they're getting used to the sight lines of the arenas and the stadiums that they're playing in. We'll take that away from Illinois because Xavier's got the advantage in that situation. And when we have small favorites that played first fours, meaning they've already got some March Madness experience in them. As long as they're not a dog of more than 5 points, they are 10-5-1. So you got a team in Xavier that's played Marquette in this building and beaten them before, coming in with a little momentum after taking off and busting up Texas. And you got a team that doesn't know their identity in Illinois. They shoot a bunch of threes and they're not good at it. If you want to know what the numbers mean, they're number 31 in three-point attempts. They're number 316 in three-point offense. Where are they going to struggle? Well, who's got the rebounding edge? I'm going to give that to Xavier. I think what happens here is we see a team that's just desperate, shooting threes all over the place with new sight lines. Got a healthy team in Xavier that's ready to make a run. The only problem I would say is the Xavier strength of schedule. Well, if you look at big teams in tournament, I mentioned like Providence, and a lot of those teams were shit this year. So the only real big win that they have against any kind of tournament caliber teams are against that Marquette team. It just happens to be that it was in Milwaukee at this arena as a dub. I think it neutralizes that, though, because Illinois' defense has shit the bed the second half of the season. I mean, just top to bottom. After the first time they played teams, the playbook got out, and they were out there figuring out a way to go play some defense on these boys. And they won some games, and they covered some spreads down the stretch in the tournament. They played Iowa twice. Okay. They did beat up Michigan 93-73, but that wasn't Michigan that we saw that won that championship. It was a strange situation. And then Purdue, 88-80, who we've seen to be imposters. I think this is too much edge, too much opportunity. The fact that they've already got a game under their belts puts them at 10-5-1 as a small favorite or small dog against a team that doesn't know who they are. They shoot 2 points incredibly well. They're the number 16 2-point offense in college basketball, but they want to shoot 10 threes, man. And that's where I think their defense is going to let them down again. The tape is out. The verdict is out. We're going to take Xavier. I'd sprinkle the money line. I would sprinkle that money line. Get that money. Plus 4.5 is good money. What's the money line look like? Let me see. Since I'm throwing it out there. Plus 140, plus 155. Hey. Okay. Why not? You know what? I think you could parlay the Xavier money line. And you could slap them together with Norfolk State money line. No, I'm just kidding. I think you could slap them together with a potential little Liberty opportunity here for the 10-10 games. I mean, Oregon, Big Ten, battle-tested defense. I like the under in that game. I don't have an official play on that one just yet, but I like Bryant in the first half as well because, again, these big spreads don't cover. And Michigan State's in jeopardy because if the number's around 15, they can cover these. They've seen that these schools, the higher-seeded teams, can cover those spreads. This thing's up to around 17s. That's a little too many points out there. I don't think Bryant's a live dog for sure. I think they're another first-half caliber team. Way too many points for Michigan State. I think Michigan State has the coaching edge and can certainly out X and O them boys, but I could see Bryant in the first half. But why not take a splash on Liberty? The fuck? Plus 272, parlay that together with a little Xavier moneyline coin at plus 160s. Get yourself a nice little payday out there. Just a little bit. Just a cup of coffee bet. Fill the kill. What happened? Too much Jameson by the Xavier game. Okay. 3 games in the NBA. Let's move quickly here. Let's get this going. We got 5 minutes till Trisha M's Florida Gators pop off. See if we can't get this thing in under the wire. The Rockets and the Heat will be the first game that I'm going to look at here. Big one. Big opportunity. Big opportunity. Spoonbet says it's understandable. I can't say Presbyterian correctly no matter how hard I try. This line opened at 4.5. It has not moved. 59% of the bets, 56% of the cash are on the Rockets. It has not moved. Small favorite on the road against the Heat, who stink at home. 214.5 has dropped to 212s with 83% of the bets and 83% of the cash on the over. There's a lot of strip clubs down there in Miami. You got to watch yesterday's show to laugh at that one. But what we got here is a Rockets team that has found their way to cover spreads. They cover them on the road. They cover them at home, but they cover them better on the road. 20-13 against the spread on the road. 27-22 in the favorite role against the spread. And this Heat team stinks. They can't win. Lost to the Clippers, lost to the Celtics, lost to the Grizzlies, lost to the Knicks, lost to the Pistons. But they did cover that spread, which kind of gives us an opportunity to mess with the line makers just a little bit, right? Because now what they're going to do is they're going to say, well, shit, Let's take a little bit of wind out of that sail for the Heat. The Rockets, on the other hand, are busting up everybody. They're only 3-2 against the spread in their last 5 games. But good old FVV has been moved to probable. That's important if we're going to back a Rockets team, because we've seen, man, if he ain't playing, you got to take the under and you got to fade them boys. So we're going to go in here and we're going to jump in on this Rockets team. But the biggest reason why, two reasons why. Across the NBA, when you're the road favorite against a non-divisional opponent and you're in 3x revenge mode, you lost to them not once, not twice, but 3 times in a row. Those teams are 72-34. Rockets, 72, and they lost the last 3. Go look it up. Busted up by the Miami Heat 3 times in a row. Non-divisional road favorites and 3x revenge are 72-34. But the Heat, when I mentioned the Heat stink, as a home dog against those non-conference teams, they're 0-11. If that team averages less than 14 threes a game. Meaning, they're just ball possession, scoring in the paint, out-rebounding opponents to catch those wins. And they're getting busted up, the Miami Heat, by 12.5 points a game in those spots. I'll take the Houston Rockets. Obviously, we want to see Freddie Van Vliet play. If he's not playing, some fuckery happens here as the next, 45 minutes? I guess that game's at 8. So we got an hour and 12 minutes. If something happens and he's not playing, that's probably the only dude I would actually care about when it comes to the injury report. The rest of them, I care less. We've seen it before. Denver wins with nobody playing. Golden State wins with nobody playing. The Lakers just continue to win without some of their key components playing. Big stuff out there. And we're going to roll on. I'm going to add this game. I hope you guys don't mind. I'm going to add a spot I think we can win on. 10 p.m., we've got the Nuggets and the Blazers. This line flipped from favorite to dog. Or dog to favorite, depending on how you look at it. The Nuggets are now the dog. 67% of the bets and 71% of the cash on the Nuggets. The books are begging you to take Denver. They're begging you. They're saying, please. You like them as a favorite. Well, here they're a dog. Let me give you a couple of points. They're begging you to take the Nuggets. Now, we talked about the Nuggets before. They had to win. They were in win to stay in type of mode right now, and they did. This line went from 227 to 228 with 92% of the bets and 93% of the cash sitting there on the over. And what do we know? Well, we know the Blazers have been beating up the East. They're also beating up the West. Big win 2 nights ago against the Grizz, 115-99. We were on the wrong side of that one. Got to take the Blazers a little bit more serious. And the problem that Denver has is getting the right lineup on the court. Injuries, illnesses, this, that, and the other thing. The only guy without any type of injury designation in this game for the Denver Nuggets is Michael Porter, MPJ. Prolific three-pointer, rebounder. But the only guy without an injury designation. Now, the tricky part with this NBA card is we're looking at these games trying to find who's got what to play for, and that's why we see such wide numbers on some of these spots, right? Like, I'm not going to get in the 16-point business. We saw that OKC or Philadelphia was laying 16 the other day, or getting 16. They beat them up in that. It was Houston. They beat them up in the first half, then Houston came through and beat them up in the full game. So we're not in the 16.5-point business. Albeit, it wouldn't necessarily scare me in some of these spots. Like, I did see a big number on the Timberwolves. They're just at home. And I don't want to be in the Timberwolves at home business. Also, a huge number for the Thunder against the Hornets. The Hornets just had a win. They're starting to get some W's here late in the season. 20.5 points with a beat-up Thunder squad? I'm not in the 20.5-point business. And the Celtics, 14 now moved to 15.5 against the Jazz. Now, the Jazz are home, and we know that is a house of disappointment. They don't have any type. They've been playing better at home, but not in the 15.5-point business either. Not for an up-and-down squad like the Celtics. They can win. They might even smash. But I know with this Nuggets team, they are third in West. They're 1 game back from second. But they're also only 1 game back from fifth. So 3 games away from 6th place and a banged-up roster. If you're looking for the motivated squad, it's got to be the Blazers. They're 12th in the Western Conference. They're just 2 games back from 10th. They have got themselves 3 wins in a row. It's a young squad, but young squads can make plans. Chauncey, good old Chauncey Billups has found himself a way to do the X's and O's that got everybody perplexed. They can't figure it out. The Suns play the Cavs tonight. If the Suns lose and the Blazers win, the Blazers become 1 game back from play-in potential. They got to go out and do theirs. And they need the Suns just to get a little help. And by the way, the Suns are 8.5-point dogs against the Cavaliers in a bounce-back spot for the Cavaliers. Portland, 19-16 at home. But they cover a lot of spreads at home. And in this case here, they're going to have to win. So that's the play. That's the angle I'm looking at here. But let me talk to you about a couple of trends. When you're home versus a high-scoring team, you win 128-72. Those sight lines that I aforementioned, screw with those road teams. The home team against a high-scoring opponent, 128-72. Small home favorites find themselves 126-79. Late season spreads less than -7 and a total over 188.5. 9-1 in its last 10. 240 and 148 overall. But the one that jumped out the most to me is when Denver's playing a shit team, they stop trying. Now, part of that's because, every time they're playing a shit team, that shit team wants to go out there and dazzle against former league champions. But they really do find a way to shit the bed against bad teams. 0-18. When they have rest against a conference opponent that averages less than 42 field goals a game, less than 25.6 free throw attempts a game, if it's between the threes, and that means the books don't know what number to put on that thing. How else would you describe a shit team? Less than 42 field goals a game, less than 25 free throws a game, and the books are still coming in there going, I don't know, +3, -3, I don't know. 0-18. We flip-flopped in this one. I'm riding these Blazers. Give me Portland in this game here. Denver can fuck off. I think they're in flake-off mode for this game. And the number we're looking at with with Portland. Let me see what number we can land here with Portland. Portlandia. Maybe the worst show I've ever seen. I'll take the minus. I'll lay the -1.5 at minus. Let's take the -118. -118 on the money line. Last game, strongest trend on the card tonight. Biggest opportunity. Talk about revenge. We talked about the 3x revenge spot for the Houston Rockets. Well, how about the Grizzlies? Open at 5.5. It's moved to 7. We've got 61% of the bets and 61% of the cash on the Grizz. On the Clippers, the Clip Show, who have been doing well at home. They started off the season not so strong at home, but they've found a way to bounce back and get some things going, and they've covered quite a few numbers out there. 229.5 has moved to 230, barely, with 87% of the bets and 87% of the cash on the over. Short, sweet, to the point with this one here. It is the Grizzlies in revenge mode. They are 70-18. 70-18-4 to be exact. Are the Grizzlies in revenge mode? And when they look to bounce back off a loss, they are 127-95. Fading the Clippers after the All-Star break has found you 27-10. We're almost intersecting in that avenue there for the Memphis Grizzlies to go out there. Wrong team favored? I don't know about that. Settle down. Maybe the Grizzlies get added to that. What's their money line look like here? Maybe we add them to the Illinois spot. 230. Grizzlies plus 230 with a little Illinois money line. Let me see what that looks like there. That sounds like we might have found ourselves a winner. Let's see. Come on. Of course, I want to go in there and lock this thing up, and I end up getting locked up. Let's go. Plus 154 at DraftKings for Xavier. Plus 230 for the Grizz. Plus 740? Plus 740. I like that a lot more than adding the Liberty piece to it. I think that's good money in that spot right there. There's no other dog I would really add to this equation to make sense. I think we got ourselves a number right there. Look for that as a little sprinkle action as well. Thank you guys all for checking us out here. We're going to be back and rolling tomorrow, 9 a.m. You'll see the morning steam with our man Ramon Scott, who's running so hot on the back end of things here. We'll pop off at 12:30 for a full afternoon of action. The UFC in London starts around 1 o'clock, and we will be ready to take you guys into the card starting at 12:30. We'll break down. We'll share the playbook. Make sure you check it out. Watch First Strike that's out there. Hit the thumbs up button on that as well for us, and enjoy your Fridays. Good luck, Trisha, with your Gators, and we'll see you guys again real soon. Thanks.